Well, I've never been to school. I grew up homeschooled, stayed homeschooled, never was not homeschooled. The thing is, like, I still learned everything, you know, but I learned it in life, you know. I learned, like, how to do math by cooking with my mom and seeing how many halves are gonna make this amount, you know. How are we gonna, if we double this recipe, how many more do we have to put in this batch right here? And so that's how I learned math. And then I learned, like, how to build shit from my dad. What I'm saying is, like, I learned shit in life. I didn't have to, like, because I feel like when you're sat down and somebody's like shoving things in your throat, you're not gonna wanna eat them. It's like everybody forced everybody's kid to eat broccoli, right? Nobody likes broccoli. But maybe you weren't forced to eat broccoli. You're like, shit, this shit is good as hell. With some butter. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it. I think some people do it the wrong way, which is just like, makes your life horrible and miserable and boring. And that's mainly because of your parents.
Yeah, my parents taught me. But I mean, listen, I have never been to school, so I can't tell you why it's better or worse than school. I can't tell you that, you know, it's different in this way or it's different in that way, because I've literally never been in a school. I stepped foot in the first high school ever that I've ever stepped foot in, like, a week ago. Felt like a movie set. There are a lot of different ways of homeschooling, and a lot of people do it differently. I think everyone really does it differently, unless you're, like, doing it with other people. But, you know, some people have tutors come to their house and like, sit down at a table and work for however many hours. Some people have, like, classes they go to, or they have a certain teacher, or they have their parents give them homework and stuff, and then they sit and they do it, and I don't even know. And then there's, like, people who do, like, no school, where it's literally just not school. Yeah. And I mean, with our family, I think it was like, it was more, and my mom could speak to it, but it's more like, it was learning things, being schooled through life. So, like, you know, my mom was an amazing cook and baker, and so when, you know, she'd have me cook with her, and we'd make, like, you know, whatever we'd make, and she'd be like, how much, you know, how many halves are gonna make this amount, or, you know, how much is gonna go into this to make this. And that's how I learned math. And then my dad is like a carpenter, kind of, and he would build things, and he would say, you know, how wide does this have to be if we want it to do this and this and this. And that's how I learned, you know, everything that I learned was through things in my life, which is more memorable because it's actually telling you why it's that way. I feel like there's so much in school. And again, I've never been to school, so I can't say anything. From what I've seen is there's a lot of memorize this, memorize this, memorize this. And you kind of say why, and they don't tell you why. This is, you just have to do it, and that's that. And this is the answer, and there's no reason for why it's the answer, but this is the answer, and remember that. How are you supposed to remember something if you're not given a reason why? There's nothing to grasp onto. You know how there are, like, ways of memorizing things? Like, you have to, like, you know, if you want to memorize a number, you think of, you know, like the alphabet. There's a song for it so that we can memorize it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not just like A, B, C, D, E, F. How are we supposed to memorize it if we don't know the song? I'm learning about where things are now from driving. I'm not like, my mom isn't like, when I'm little, pointing to things and saying, this is here, and this is here, and this is here. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know what any of that means if I don't go?